Now, the difference is I have evolved. And the things I do musically is just to do that, to evolve, to move on, to discover new territories, to find myself in a situation where I'm challenged, musically, because if I'm not challenged, I get bored.
The Art of Rising, where clarity replaces noise, discipline becomes lifestyle, and growth is intentional. Let's rise together.
It's cool. Yeah.
Thank you. Greetings, family, and welcome to the Art of Rising, where we are exploring leadership, transformation, and conscious visionaries changing the planet. I'm here with a powerful musician, teacher, leader, leading man. I mean, all of these great things this brother has under his belt. So please just stay tuned and see what's going on. And I believe that he has some of the codes we're looking for. So, brother, please introduce yourself. Welcome to the show. Tell us where you're living and what you're doing with yourself these days.
Thank you, Amar. My name is Jorge Sylvester, and I am an alto saxophonist, composer, teacher. Teach music, and I compose music and perform for various different projects that I've had since I've been in the United States. You're talking 1997, around there that time. But let's say like in the year 2000, I pretty much started doing a lot of different things, adding more projects. In 96, for example, you know, I recorded a CD. That's my first CD as a leader, coming from Panama, where is my hometown, Colón, Panama. It's a lot of influences happening during my upcoming, my growing up, because I had various projects over there also. I had a group named Los Caballeros de Colón, and we used to perform what they call salsa music, which I call Caribbean dance music. And years after that, we did some recordings. Some of it is on YouTube of a young Jorge playing the saxophone and arranging for his band. I was like 14 years old. We were on the television in Panama. We were very much like pretty known in the dance scene, right? And then after that, I traveled to Madrid, Spain. This is after I went to college and the Conservatory of Panama. So I traveled to Spain with a 6-month contract to work with a singer by the name of Orquídea Robinson. She was from Nicaragua. I stayed there for almost 10 years, and even before the 6 months, I quit the band and I start just getting more involved in the jazz scene over there. And then from there, I'm making all of this really concise and short. There's a lot. If I can speak, I would take up 5-10 hours. Okay, so I'm making it short. After that, I came to New York, actually, to study at the Creative Music Studio in Woodstock, New York. Is a very known creative arts institution. By the way, it still exists. And I was there for like 2 semesters and take a lot of workshops with a lot of known musicians here in the U.S. I don't like throwing out names, but they were pretty heavy known. I'll give you an example. For example, like Dave Hall and Oliver Lake. The guy that ran that place was Carl Berger. He died. He passed away. And Ornette Coleman, if you don't know, Ornette Coleman was the musical advisor.
Wow.
He passed away also. Ornette Coleman was one of the leading exponent of the avant-garde jazz. And I was there. I went through a program that they had in conjunction with New Paltz University. And through that program with the Creative Music Studio, I got a degree in music because I've had like tons of credits from back home. Basically, uh, put me in one more year to finish and get my degree. So that's what I did. And from there, I met tons of great musicians, hang out with a lot of them. Some of them today I performed with them, did perform with them. And then I decided to move forward and work on my own music. You know, as I said, I had a first recording as a leader, and it was called Music Collage with Claudio Roditi, great musicians like Marvin Sewell, Gene Jackson, a whole bunch of cats. Again, I don't want to throw out names. I ain't about the names anymore. It's all about the music. But anyway, this happens to be a great album, and it, you know, kind of like put me in the so-called line of the composers, jazz musician, whatever, you know. And then after that, I got involved with a group by the name of Ace Trio, right? And it was basically Ace for Afro-Caribbean Experimental, and it was a trio with some of the names like Bobby Sanabria, Donald Nix. It was just bass, drums, and saxophone. And it was a great group. That was one of my first productions because the one I did before was produced by the record company. And the producer of the record company, Postcard Records, was the name of it. But this one, Ace Trio, was my own production. And I did exactly what I wanted. The music was very experimental and very organic. Because organics is the, I would say, the most important thing for me, as opposed to having everything nice, clean, and pretty, and make it
Right.
sound like it's all nice. And, yeah, I want the real deal. I want it
Right.
raw, you know.
Right.
So
Right.
Ace Trio was an example of that. You know, I got great reviews with it, with the other ones also. And then after that, I created the Ace Collective. And that's when I met my wife, Nora McCarthy. This was in the year 2000. She's a great composer also and a great jazz vocalist. I call her the vocal artist. She's really avant-garde, and she does the standard. She can sing any tune, any standard in any key at any given moment. She's just like that. And she writes great lyrics. She's a lyricist on top of that, because I was always looking for somebody to put the lyric on my music.
Right.
And I happened to meet her through a friend of a friend. And that's how it all started. It all
Wow.
started. And
Beautiful.
from there on, we start working together.
Oh, God.
But the thing with her lyrics and her poetry, it's not the usual stuff you hear. It's just very, very elevated. It's very spiritual, and it's in a different direction. It's not the obvious type of stuff and the words that a lot of poets use. It's just she's got that thing, you know, with the words. She's, you know,
That's beautiful.
she's the wordsmith. She's
women,
really excellent.
Women
So,
have that. Women,
yeah,
they're more in touch
yeah,
spiritually than we are.
yeah, yes, indeed, yeah. And she started writing lyrics for my compositions. The first lyric she wrote was a composition entitled Nimbus, which is a ballad, a jazz ballad, and we perform it with. It initially was written for a quartet, and I did it with trios, I did it with quartets, and then I rearranged it and reorchestrated for a big band, a 20-piece orchestra. And that's when she came in and performed it the very first time with the big band. And it's a beautiful composition. She also recorded it on her CD with another group called one of her groups called what's it called, the spirit. It's called Blessings, the name of the CD. And
Okay.
the name of the band is
That's
it's
okay.
basically a quintet, and it's called People of Peace Quintet.
People of
That's
peace.
the
There
name
it
of
goes.
her
All right.
band. It's called the People of Peace Quintet. But the music is really cool.
mm.
Very, very original stuff also. So
Right.
then we did the big bands. I did the big bands with her. I
Mm,
did the Ace Collective,
mhm.
that came from the Ace Trio, right?
Right.
The Ace Trio was a trio, and the Ace Collective was a sextet, is a sextet today,
Okay.
and with the
Okay.
addition of piano, the voice, and a trumpet. So
Mm, mm,
that's how it expanded.
mm,
And I also have an Ace Collective edition,
mm,
which is an extended edition, which is like with a string quartet, and I incorporated also a tuba, a French horn. This is
mm,
with the sextet as the basic group for it, and then I added these other instruments. But that's a big project that I would like to record one of these days. But we have done some stuff. We've done some performances at the
mm,
Baha'i Center.
mm,
We did some stuff with the extended edition, but the Ace Collective and the big band, we worked there a lot.
mm,
And unfortunately, the guy that used to run the series called Jazz Tuesdays at the Baha'i Center, he
mhm,
passed away during COVID. That was
mm. So
illustrious
sorry.
Mike Lungo. Yeah, he
Mm,
was a great pianist and
mm.
composer of
So
he
sorry.
was like the musical director of one of
Mm,
Dizzy Gillespie orchestras or his
mm,
bands. So,
mm,
I mean, the Ace Collective is like one of my favorite projects. Now, I have
mm,
this other group, it's called the Jorge Sylvester Spontaneous Expression.
mm, mm,
And all we do is original music, but most of it is on the spot. Some of it is without arrangement.
mm,
Some of it is with arrangement, but it's
mm.
basically about the spontaneity
Right.
of the
I
group
love that.
itself.
How long have you had
Yeah.
that one?
That one was it's funny because that group started, it was funny. That group started as an accident, I should say, because after Ace Collective, I was planning to record a solo saxophone, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm,
CD. And Mike Lungo, the guy at the Baha'i Center, called me for a gig. And this was in January, actually March 3rd, 2020. And I was planning to do a saxophone solo there only. So this was during COVID. So I said, oh, you know what? Let me start calling some cats to use it. But so I start calling. I call a drummer. I brought Nora in. I brought a guitar player, a friend of mine, Marvin Sewell, excellent guitarist. I
mm,
brought a tuba player, Jose Davila, Puerto Rican.
mm,
I
mm.
also brought another friend of mine, Tony Moreno, from here, from New York City.
Okay.
And I added a French horn and also the trumpet. My trumpet player.
Mm,
So we went there and I wrote only two short pieces, just two introductions. So like the head
mm,
of a piece, and the rest of it was improvised. And I did a lot. I did what, three pieces of saxophone solo, and then this was a great part that I did. I did duets with each one of the musicians. It's an octet in
mm.
the amount of musicians were eight musicians. So I did like a duet with each one of them, including one with Nora, one with the guitarist, one
Okay.
with the French hornist, one with the tuba, one with the drummer, right?
Mm, mm,
So on. And it ended up being a great night, man. I remember it like it was yesterday. It was very
mm,
cold night in New York City. People weren't coming out.
mm, mm,
And Mike Lungo came to me and said, "Man, it's looked like it's gonna be rough because there's not a big audience, right?" And at that time, the way you work at the Baha'i, you had to cover the rental of the theater. It's a beautiful theater, and
mm,
that was like $75. To you perform, but you make the 75, and then the rest is for the band.
mhm, mhm,
And at least he said, "Let's wait a little." So I said, "Okay, let's wait." So the first set passed by. And then the second set was coming up, and then people start coming in. So there was a certain amount of people to cover the theater rent.
mm,
So we said, let's perform. right? And man, it was so magical that night. Everybody was incredible. Everybody was just, you
Mm,
know, and it was
flow,
so
flow.
great that, yeah, it was so great that this is the whole thing about it, that a week after, I think a week or two, found out that Mike Lunger passed away. The guy
Mm,
that was the last night I saw him,
mm,
March 3rd,
mm,
2020.
mm,
So a friend of mine was recording the performance, and I said, let me listen to it. That I took it to an engineer, he remastered it, and I
mm,
dedicated it to him.
mm,
I also dedicated it to my father, because my
mm,
father was the reason I play the music, the jazz thing, right? He was
mhm,
like a jazz buff back home in Panama, and he used to tell me all the time. He showed me the CD of John Coltrane. This is the guy in the U.S. and so on, and
right.
then I dedicated one tune to him, and one to Mike Longo, and another one to my mentor, this violinist by the name of Ramsey Amin. He passed away also.
Mm,
I met
mm,
Ramsey Amin at the Creative Music Studio, and he was very influential in me using that name, Afro Caribbean Experimental. He was
mm,
very influential in me, like finding my direction
mm,
as far as music, finding my using my heritage, right?
mm,
To use that as a point of departure
mm,
after I did the Ace Trio, because he was also the person that wrote all the reviews for the Ace Trio.
mhm,
He wrote the reviews for my Ace Collective CD, which is a double CD set that we did. We recorded in Austria. We went out there and we
mm,
recorded in Austria.
mm,
Uh,
mhm,
but
mm,
like this thing with the spontaneous expression is such a special group that I've been writing a lot more music for that band, but
mm,
waiting for the opportunity to perform, and that's the
mm.
challenge
Right.
in
I,
trying to
I know
be
that.
a composer, musician. But
Mm,
aside from that project, as I said, I have the 20-piece orchestra. I also have a duet that Nora and I do together, alto
mm,
saxophone and voice only. It's called A Small Dream in Red.
mm.
Yeah, and it's based off the one of the paintings of Wassily Kandinsky. Nora came up with that because she's from Cleveland, and she saw Kandinsky's painting years ago when she was out there.
Mm,
So she used the name for this duet. It's basically her project, but we worked together, and we did a
mm.
CD also.
I'd love to
And
hear that
she
too.
did all the covers to the
Mm,
CDs. She does
okay.
artist work. She's an artist too, and she does a lot of covers for basically all of my CDs. And
All right.
she's also a writer. She just put out a book,
Mm,
about the vocals. She put out a book.
my
It's called
goodness.
the Path. Yeah,
Yeah, what's the name of the
there's
book?
a sound here. Yeah, yeah. Her book is a very important book. It's
Uh,
called. Let me show you. Her book is here.
okay, okay.
I'll give you a little feedback on her book. This is her book. It's called The Spiritual Path to Finding Your Voice. This is Nora's book. Yeah,
Man, this one,
it's
she's
unbelievable.
the real.
400. Yeah,
Mhm.
it's a big book, and she worked on it for years before she
Mm,
met me, and she ended the book. It's what is it? 400. Yeah, it's almost 400 pages.
wow, wow.
Yeah,
She's a
it's
real
a great
player.
book.
She's a for real one.
Yep,
That's
yep,
beautiful.
yep.
Well, we're
Yeah,
gonna
it's a
make
great
sure
book.
to we're gonna leave that in the show notes. That way, people can pick that up right away.
Yeah,
And I look forward to
and
taking a look at that
this is
myself.
the Ace Collective. This is the
Mm,
Ace Collective CD. Yeah,
okay, okay, that's
but
beautiful.
my path. What can I say? right now I live in Newark. So I used to live in Brooklyn. Remember I told you that, and
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
rent the
Mm-hmm.
rent got too damn high. So we
Right.
end up moving here for now, you know. So aside from that, like I
Mm-hmm.
said, I'm trying to find a new audience for my music because, as I said, the so-called jazz, quote unquote, to me is just music. It depends on Duke Ellington used to say, "There's bad music and there's good music," right?
Mm-hmm.
But the music I'm trying to bring up forward, especially the Ace Collective thing, is I'm using the Caribbean rhythms. Okay, as I said, that's my heritage from Panama. My father was born in Jamaica.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, my grandfather was born in Jamaica. My father was born in Belize.
Mm-hmm.
So growing up, I heard a lot of calypso. I heard a lot of reggae. I heard all of that stuff. So all those rhythms are part of my heritage growing up, and I use all those rhythms to compose the music for Ace Collective. Now the
Mm-hmm.
experiment comes in when we do the avant-garde stuff, when we mix all of that together and create this, you know,
Right.
big sound of different textures and
Mm-hmm.
rhythmic textures, you know,
Well,
because
well, Jorge, let me
I
let me
mean,
let me let me try. Let me, 'cause
if you know music,
you've been going
yeah,
on for a while, man. That's beautiful. Let's get into a couple
yeah,
of questions here, right? Because there's a deeper thing
yeah.
that's happening here, and I'd love to get your perspective on it. So perhaps
Oh,
you could
definitely.
perhaps you can
I'm
tell
waiting for
me.
that. Please.
Beautiful, beautiful.
Yeah.
Perhaps you can tell me your opinion on the music itself. What is it that music speaks to people? What is it that it says to people, deeper than just, oh, this is a nice song and I'm dancing and it feels rhythm? And, what is the
Right.
spiritual context of it?
That's a good question. The spiritual context, okay. Within the message, the musical message, there's also lyrical messages. Uh, in terms of the spiritual message, for example, the funny thing about this is that there's a lot of different ways to send the message. Now, spiritually, I think it has to do with the vibration of the music, the energy, the what can I say? There's certain notes or sounds or intervals that have that strong spiritual vibe that you can feel it. You can feel the sound from the bottom up. And then you have the lyrics in a poetry, all right? Uh, like for example, I have a composition entitled Construction Number One. And Nora, with her lyric and the poem, she talks about there's one construction, meaning all of us.
Mm.
So sometimes people listen to the words, sometimes they don't. But you can't depend on that only because everything comes together as a one. It's just one circle. And within that circle, there is that energy. There's that spirituality, depending on how you put the music out there. If you don't put it, I mean, first of all, when I write compose something, I really, really believe it. So
Mm.
that's from that starting point. That's a spirituality
Yes.
essence of what you're doing. If you're not faking it or you're not just making up stuff or making it. You got to believe what you're writing. You got to believe what you're doing.
Well, Jorge,
So
let,
that's
let me
part
let
of the
me
spiritual
yes,
path.
let me ask you this: when you are
Yeah,
composing, do you start with your emotions or the
yeah.
rhythm, or do you start with the silence?
It all depends. First, the silence comes, because before you're gonna perform, before you're gonna make the sound, you gotta have silence. So, um, that's a good question. because within the silence, it has to do also the way you place the rhythm, the way you place the notes. Like you could hear a music where you hear all this song going on, but there's no room to breathe. So the room to breathe is part of the silence, obviously, So, for example, like that's a good question. I think you just hit on something because, I mean, I think, for example, improvising, right? When you're improvising, if there's no space, if you don't have that connection with the sound, with the audience, with everything you're doing within that moment, it's not gonna really touch. Now you have the other aspect where a person, let's say, just to say, let's say a trumpet player or whatever, playing a lot of notes, and it's just a lot of notes. But somebody like Coltrane played a lot of notes, but when you heard those lot of notes, there was a lot of meaning behind it, and it was for real. You could feel the spirit.
Well, I was just thinking about him
So that
because he
connection,
was a
yeah,
sax
yeah,
player, and yeah, he played a lot of notes, right?
a lot of notes, yeah,
Mhm.
and his spirit was there all the time. I mean,
Yeah.
the reason I think you could relate to him coming from any, I mean, like I remember playing some of his music for kids in my classroom. They were like third graders. I
Mhm.
played some of his music, also played some of Warnick music for them, and their reaction was like, "Mr. Sylvester, is that one person doing all of that?" They
Mm.
couldn't believe the amount of energy that he was bringing to them, and the interest was that I was not playing early Coltrane. I was playing late Coltrane when he was doing the avant-garde, and they seemed to connect with that. Same thing with Ornette Coleman. I played him some of prime time, some of his real avant-garde stuff with electric guitars and all of this stuff, and the kids connected with it because why? There was no preconceived notion about what it's supposed to be or what it's not supposed to be. So
Mhm.
all of that has to do to me with the spirit and the energy and the
Mhm.
spirituality of music.
Yeah,
I mean, I try to do it
right.
by believing in what I'm doing.
And
But
and and how about when you teach, like what I'm trying to say is about the technique. When you're teaching technique, how do you teach technique without crushing the individuality of the person?
well, yeah, I mean, I was talking with Nora the other day about that. I mean, I was asking myself, because some people talk about teaching to improvise. How you teach somebody to improvise, especially in the jazz language? What can you do? Well, you can give them the tools, show them the scales, the intervals to work on, you know, how to run through a scale, play it in all 12 keys and so forth. But you can't tell them how to phrase. You can't tell them how to hear the music. That has to come out of their body. That has to be a very personal thing. So when I deal with the kids, it's funny because I'm teaching them, I'm using, I have a class I call Experimenting with Caribbean Rhythms. And I mean, fortunately or not, or unfortunately, where I teach, they don't have instruments, real instruments. They have a lot of drums. They got six djembe drums. The kids have six djembe drums. They have a bunch of buckets, right? A lot of hand percussion, bongos, tambourines, and stuff like that. And I have a keyboard. So what I will do to teach them the technique, I will show them the technique, how to play the drums, how to hit the djembe, how to play the buckets. I'll show them ways because I always do it first, and then I have them copy what I'm doing. So that's part of my way of teaching them the rhythms, and I um, teaching them the technique about the rhythms. I have them sing it. Like I'll play a rhythm, and then I have them vocally express the rhythm, try and have it singing. So a lot of them laugh, they think it's funny,
Mm,
but eventually they get it. And then what I do on top of that, I have them counting beats, different beats,
mm,
and I explain to them beat number one is the basic. It starts here. You got to listen for it to play your other rhythm, because each I divide them in different groups, and each group has a different pattern, right?
mm, mm,
So these rhythmic what do you call it? Rhythmic patterns have different beats, and they start in a different time zone from the one, but they all have to follow the one.
mm,
And that's a new thing I've been doing with them. But the idea is to have them understand that there's a force, and there's a point of departure, so to
mm,
speak, where it starts, right? And when it starts there, their point of reference has to come in. They have to follow their point of reference in order to come in where they're supposed to come in with their beat. And that's a technique. Now for
mm,
saxophone, if I teach a saxophone how to want to teach him techniques, saxophonist, well, there's a lot of ways for that, because you can give scales, and scales come with fingering, how to hold the horn, how to
mm, mm,
approach the scales,
mm,
how to use the right fingering, and so on. So that's part of the technique.
mm,
And you can teach them these different scales, and there's a
mhm,
lot of ways for that. But then comes the improvisation thing and the spiritual thing. That is that has to come from the individual. I
mm.
mean, I don't think you can teach that. I
Right,
really
right.
don't.
So
You
let
know?
me ask you this: when you have a student and they start doing their own thing after they've learned quite a bit, do you hear it and you be like, "Oh, listen, that's no good," or do you like, or do you accept it? Do you go like, "Hey,
Yeah,
work on that"?
yeah, there's times when I really do that, because you want to make them be creative. You want to incorporate that. But, sometimes I'm real strict about what they have to do, because what do I do? I give them what I call free time. And
Mhm,
then I have them, I use, like, my keyboard has drum machine in it. So,
mm,
and this is something I really like to do. Let's say, for example, I have like 20 kids in the classroom. Each one of them have a number from 1 to 20, I would say. And these are kids that I'm teaching from kindergarten all the way up to fifth graders. And I
mhm,
would say, remember your number. See
mm.
how, trying to
Right.
get them to think a lot. And then what I say, when I play the music on the keyboard, play whatever you want.
Mm,
And they
mm,
improvise. They'll
mhm,
know they're improvising, but they improvise, and
mm,
sometimes it's really cool. I've recorded some of the classes, and you get some real hip stuff,
Oh,
some real. And the funny thing is that some of it, and most of it, I gotta say, is very much way out there, experimental. And
mm,
the kids listen to it and they say, "Oh, we like this." Then
mm,
sometimes I incorporate the word, right? I have them
mm,
singing. Some of them create their own poetry. Some of them create their own music,
mm,
their own lyric. I would
mm,
use like Caribbean rhythms, give it to them, and have them put words to it,
mhm.
and then they perform it. But
Yes.
it's a very it's unlimited. It's an
Mm,
unlimited. There's
yeah.
so many ways of approaching it. So,
Yes,
um,
music is one of those things that it's
yeah,
universal. You see, it's like classical music. You don't have to speak, German or those. You already hear it, you feel it inside, and then jazz happens to be, or that freestyle energy. The freedom of jazz has that spirit where it speaks to everybody. You could be in any part of the world, man. Yeah.
Yeah, because well, first of all, music is a universal language, right? That's the
Hmm.
first thing they tell us. But aside from that, jazz is an art form. It's America's only art form, and on top of that, you. That's why I said about, you know, I'm looking for a new audience because it's just music. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, we know that back in the 60s and those even the 50s, people used that was the music of the time. People dance it, right?
Yep.
In
Yeah.
dance
Yeah.
halls and in
Yeah.
ballrooms and stuff like that. But
Mhm.
I mean, you know, it's I mean, I don't understand the reason why and this is not everybody, but some of these so-called critics or whatever, they want to define what you do. They want to say, oh, you know, like I have an example. I had when I did my first CD, I had a guy reviewed it, great reviews, blah, blah, blah. Great. When I was doing the second one, when the Ace Trio thing, I took that CD to him because I said, man, this guy loves my stuff, right? I took it to him, gave it to him. I said, can you write a review on this? He had it for like, this is before it came out. He had it for I don't know how long. And then he gave it back to me and said, man, I thought you were going to do something like the CD before,
Mm-hmm.
like the one I first did, right? And I
Right.
said, no, it's just, this is different. And for some reason, he couldn't understand it. And he can like see the connection because there was a connection with the first one. It's just a different thing.
Right.
It's moving forward. There was no piano, there was no trumpet,
Mm.
there was no guitar. It was just bass, raw bass, electric bass, alto saxophone, and drums.
Mm.
But the concept was there in some of the compositions for the first CD.
Right.
So it's like sometimes they want to just pigeonhole you, right? And
Mm.
on the other time, and on the opposite side, some people just will say, "Oh, you just defining your music by saying it's Afro-Caribbean experimental," but that's not true. The way I look at it is that Africa is the mother of all music.
Mm.
So if I say I'll call my music Afro-Caribbean experimental, to me, and this is to me, that includes jazz, that includes all type of musics.
Mm.
Now, I put that name on it because I just don't want them to define my music. I define my music, right? So
Mm.
I try to, and with defining my music, I can say, well, this is this because of this. This is as a composer, I can say this is this because I did this from this, and this is from this, and this is from this, and this is from this, as opposed to have somebody write about you that sometimes they don't really get to the deep process that a composer go through or a musician put all the work into his stuff and then somebody come and say it's this, it's not this, it's da, 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 da.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I don't know, but that's how
Right.
I feel about
Right.
it, and
Appreciate
it's
that.
just my personal opinion.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank
you
you
know.
so much. Thank you. Listen, thank you for your
Yeah.
time. I want to be able to share with the world the things that you're doing. We're going to leave all the show notes, including that wonderful book. Can we find that on Amazon as well?
Yes, it's on Amazon. It's
Okay.
called The Spiritual Path of Finding Your Voice by Nora
Hmm.
McCarthy.
Yeah, I know my
That's the
my
name
wife
of the
would
book.
love that. Incredible. I love the
Yeah,
artwork on it
yeah.
too. Yeah, that's universal
It's
there,
all
the spirals.
it's all of her work. All of the paintings and stuff in it. It's all of her, you know.
Mm.
you
Mm.
probably would love to have a talk with her because
Yes,
she
I
knows a
would.
lot of
I would.
stuff
Well,
about the kind of stuff you talk about.
let's set that up.
But
Let's set it up.
it's a wonderful I'll tell her. I'll tell
All
her.
right. Let her know if she's
I'll
interested.
tell
We
her.
can, I'm sure the
Yeah.
listeners would love that too. So thank you so much for your time, Brother
Yeah.
Sylvester. And we love to check in with you a couple of months from now, see where you're at with all those projects and everything. You know,
Thank you.
any
And
any last words you like to say?
well, last words. I would like to say, first of all, it's a little cliche, but
Mhm.
I would say, what can I say? The past is prologue, and the past is prologue when it comes to everything. Meaning, back in 1996, when I put out that CD, it's still relevant to today, 2020, 26.
Mhm.
Now, the difference is I have evolved. I'm
Mhm.
keep on trying to evolve. And
Mhm.
the things I do musically is just to do that, to evolve, to move on, to discover new territories, to
Mhm.
find myself in a situation where I'm challenged, musically, because if I'm not challenged, I get bored,
Right.
you know. I get bored for real. And yeah, I get bored. But all I can say is peace to the world.
Mhm.
And let's keep on just
Let's keep on.
helping each other out. And you
Okay.
know,
That's good. That's good. That's great. Let's leave it at
yeah,
that. Let's keep
yeah.
helping each other. I love that. I love the energy.
Thank
So
you. Yeah.
stay right there, brother. Don't move. For those tapping in, thank you so much. I hope you enjoyed it. Until the next